Hey everyone, I wanted to talk about sleeping related myths, some of the common misconceptions surrounding sleep. This goes for the fear of sleep. Whether you actually have insomnia or not doesn't actually matter, because the same principles will apply. Because what people do is they go, well, do I actually have insomnia or do I have a fear of sleep? And again, that's an easy trap to fall into, because you're trying to solve a problem that you don't need to solve, because the principles still apply, right? It's the same thing where, with sensory motor, when I had really bad saliva OCD hyperawareness, my fear was, do I actually have something wrong with my salivary glands? It's why I went to the doctor so much. Or is it an actual fear in my head? But it didn't matter. I had to break down the worst case scenario with unconditional acceptance, whether it was real or not. So I want to talk about the perpetuating and chronic myths that just will not go away surrounding sleep, which is really easy to misunderstand, because most people just jump to, well, the literature says this and what the literature says that. And to be completely honest, what the literature says on sleep is so misguided and doesn't actually capture what's happening in the insomnia cycle. And we see that all the time. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this. Look for the direct WhatsApp link where you can message Phil, and we can get you in a timely fashion, and we can help you break down some of your sleep fears, which they are very, very common in today's day and age because of the amount of information we have on sleep. So the first thing to realize is all, if not all, very close to all sleep problems stem from fear. It does not stem from drinking caffeine late at night. This doesn't mean it doesn't aid in a little bit poor sleep. It doesn't stem from needing to wear blue light blocking glasses or any of that. Those are all compulsive behaviors that many people fall into. The fear of not sleeping and the potential harm it will cause your body will drive all sleep-related cycles to some degree, whether something is actually wrong or not. And that is so commonly missed, and this is one of the big ones that I see on a daily basis. And again, it's so easy to go and watch a lot of these sleep gurus where it's very obvious that they missed the mark on so many of those pieces. Hello. Again, it doesn't have anything to do with needing to have a super rigid structure. So let's actually start by talking about some of the common compulsions that will need to go. You're going to have to get very comfortable with loss of sleep, okay? And I know this is going to be very scary, but I know it's also going to go against what the majority of the people say on YouTube. Because sleep is a hot topic, because we spend, you always hear we spend 1/3 of our life sleeping. So number one is that there is no correct way to sleep. There is no correct way to sleep. No correct position, no correct room temperature, no correct anything. There's more ideal environments, but there's no correct way. And that's a catchy title. I just saw a really big podcast channel that many people know. It was a couple days ago, and it was like, the title of the video is called "You're Sleeping Wrong." The video is already set up for failure, in my opinion, because the statement that they have as the thumbnail drives you in to convince you that you're doing something wrong that can't have any internal control. If you look at anyone who's recovered from sleep-related fears, which they give the best advice, right? The people who have the true experts who have gone through the experience, through practical experience, years of insomnia, years of not sleeping. I slept very, very, very poorly for a long time. And I'm still not the best sleeper. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. I have no fears of getting little sleep. If I have less than 7-hour days a lot in a row, 6.5, 6-hour days on end, I get a little bit more tired, and I try to take a nap here and there. And it's just simple. That's it. There's no fear of that by any means. When I go hiking, I have to wake up at 2 in the morning if I'm driving to the mountains. Or earlier, I've even had 1:30 a.m. days and went to sleep at 11. Dead tired. Barely keep my eyes open going there. Then with hike, everything, it's not saying you do that every day, but your fear of not getting optimal sleep is what causes the problem. So there's no correct way to sleep. Number two, you're going to have to get comfortable with using no blue light. And I'm going to say this, I have personally never met a single human being with good sleep-related fear psychology who uses blue light blocking glasses. It's absolutely not needed. If you use blue light blocking glasses and you still have a fear of not sleeping, you're still not going to sleep well for the most part. I would never use a blue light blocking glasses. I'm not saying physiologically there's not merit. It just matters so much smaller than we actually think. And it's so easy to have a research study where it says something like 78% of people who use blue light blocking glasses sleep better. I mean, there's so many other factors inside the methodologies of those studies. So you have to be very careful with that. You're going to have to get used to having no regimen and routines when it comes to using your phone. Again, I wake up most days at 4:55. I literally open my eyes. I try to say 3 things I'm grateful for and why, and then I use my phone immediately for a few minutes to answer a couple messages. Then I get up and start my day, every single day. I also use my phone right up until I go to sleep. After I'm done reading, I'll check a couple things, maybe emails, and go to sleep. Has no fear, no effect on my sleep that I care about. Even if it does, doesn't matter. I'm not afraid of it, so it doesn't bother me. That's a big thing, right? Fear's driving everything. Again, whether it's real or not. So blue light blocking glasses have to go. No correct way to sleep. And what else I just said? Just blanked out. And using your technology at that. Melatonin. Now look, is melatonin inherently bad for you? Of course not. But the reason why you're using melatonin is a problem. Do I use it? I'd say probably 3-4 days a month, etc. But I would never need to take it ever again. But for most of you who are struggling, who are watching this video, you're going to have to drop melatonin for a while. And that goes for all over-the-counter supplements. Again, this isn't a right or wrong thing, or if they're good or not, or they have applicability. It's about the reason of why you're taking it. It's like going to the gym 7 days a week. Is that inherently bad for you? No. But if you're going to the gym because you're petrified of losing muscle or petrified of being fat, one of the exposures I'm going to give you is to not go to the gym for a month. And then they freak out. They freak out. How do I know? Because I had this exposure given to me. There was 2 times where I didn't go to the gym. And I had to learn there's other things in life outside of going to the gym, which was very difficult for me. It's the same thing with this, okay? So dropping the melatonin, that's a huge compulsion for many, many people. Number 5 is speaking about your sleep all the time. I see this a lot. So people will go, I got to get good sleep. And look, your beliefs are driving it, but if you talk about it all the time, this is a form of venting that becomes a big problem. So you're going to have to get comfortable with not talking about your sleep patterns so much, which is really difficult for people, because when you're scared of something, what people will do is talk about that particular thing all day long. It's very understandable. The 6th thing, and this is very difficult, you're going to have to stop watching all sleep-related videos for a while. No gurus, no people like that. There's too much confusing information out there. And on top of that, which leads me into the next point, which might actually be the most important point, you are losing out on many experiences in your life by prepping for your sleep this is what we do when you have a severe fear of not sleeping. So it would be like 2 p.m. This happened to me for about a year and a half. It would be like 2 p.m. I'd start thinking about my sleep. Every hour that went by, I would become more compulsive about setting up a good nighttime routine. If I wasn't in bed by 10, I would have a total meltdown. And that anxiety was so flared up by 7, 8, 9, because if I was out somewhere, I'd be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not at the house, I'm not getting ready yet, blah, blah, blah. That's not living. You might as well already be dead. You're prepping for an area of your life of a state of semi-consciousness where you're dreaming, and it's so close to death, you might as well already be dead. I mean, it sounds very abrasive and abrupt, but there's some serious truth in that. I mean, look, we're not saying, because this is the misconception that people say. I get this rebuttal on a daily basis. So you're telling people that sleep doesn't matter. No, that's not what I'm saying. Acceptance doesn't mean agreement. What we're saying is sleep is important. It's just not as important as you think it is. People get very, very, very offended by that, because it's all about wanting to feel optimal. And the more you're trying to chase a feeling of optimal and having to have these rigid routines, the more likely you're not going to A, sleep well, B, you're not going to live your life and try new experiences because you're so afraid of, no, I can't go to that concert. That's too late. Oh my gosh. Then if you do go out, if you do actually make the plunge to go somewhere, what you do after that is you're thinking, oh my gosh, like it's 11 o'clock. I'm only going to get 5 hours of sleep. And we're not saying you can't be concerned. I have healthy concerns about that. You know, if I work really long days, and I did my first one-to-one at 5 in the morning today, which I usually do on Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, all 3 of those days. But today I just was a little bit more tired, and I tossed and turned a little bit last night. So when my alarm went off at 4:55, I was tired for sure. Once I got up and started working, it wasn't that bad. So that just goes to show you what can happen once you start getting involved in stuff. But I'm not overly concerned, you know, because that's what happens too when people become more comfortable with, let's say, the fear of not sleeping. In their mind, what they do is they go, well, that means I'm not gonna care at all, right? That's another misconception on acceptance, which I'm gonna cover a new video on that soon. It's like when someone has harm OCD and they say, well, if I become more accepting of my worst case scenario, that means I'm more likely to lose control and hurt someone. No, that's not what we're saying. You're accepting that even if you did, you could accept yourself as a human. Just because you're accepting the possibility that you might not sleep well doesn't mean you're going to become some club DJ and stay out till 8 o'clock in the morning every night. I mean, this is what these sleep fears do to us. And every fear, they stretch it all the way to extreme to keep us safe. So I've recovered from all my sleep fears. It took me quite a long time. You know, I always tell people there's usually a multi-year horizon with some of our larger themes. I had all those compulsive behaviors. I don't have any of them. I use my phone right up to bed, right till I get in the morning. Sometimes if I want to have a coffee at 6 o'clock at night, it's not a major habit, but I'll do it, especially if I'm going out somewhere. And, you know, I still have my preferences. Like I like sleeping in a little bit colder of a room with my fan, but I don't need any of those things. I could sleep on the ground for a month if I had to in my living room, and it would be bothering me and I wouldn't sleep well, but I'm not scared of that, right? Because I've experienced plenty of situations where I didn't sleep well. But I just was in Florida at my in-laws' house over the holidays. Erica's grandparents were there, and they like the home hot because they're in their 90s. So, and I mean, I don't live in Florida anymore, so I'm not used to that, even though it's the winter. So it was so humid in our bedroom, and I literally slept like shit for like 6 days. Still had a great time. Not scared at all. I was excited to get back and go to sleep for a little bit longer. But it's a much more balanced, healthy concern. When you're stuck in a sleep cycle, all in your mind, it's very rigid. It's either good sleep or bad sleep, right? There's nothing in between. Simply not the case. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it. If you have any questions, please direct message Phil. There's lots of hope out there. Lots of myths surrounding sleep. It's very hard pressed to find good stuff. There's a really good person around sleep that we use as well. Her name is Beth. Her Instagram is The Holistic Sleep Coach with periods between. The Holistic Sleep Coach with periods between each word. Keep me posted, let me know, and hope to speak to you soon. Have a good one, everyone.